the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up!
Welcome everybody to another episode of This is CorbinCenter. We are back after taking a week off. I was in San Diego for my brother's wedding. So of course the Corbinite recognition would go to my brother. Steve, congratulations on the wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony on the beach. I'm so happy for the two of you. Again, I'm happy I could have been a part of it. I was so happy to be in San Diego. I had a great time, wonderful time, and many years, best of all the happiness. Coming from me as somebody who got divorced, probably not the best endorsement, but it's okay. It's totally fine. Now also, a couple things. I hit a milestone, which was pretty impressive while I was gone. My Facebook reached over 3,600 followers. And the interesting thing on this is what put me over the top, because it seemed correlated, is in regards to Sting's last match. I shared a photo where I shared the ring with Sting, which is a big moment in my career. I mean, I was a little stinger when I was growing up, so I put this in here. And I shared that moment, and I've done this twice, and for some reason it's got some negative reactions, which is very weird. Some people have called him spotlight hungry. Some people try to make it like indie Sting and make a reference like Sting was definitely like being at an independent show is like the worst thing you could possibly do. Because I know it had that connotation, like if you're not on TV, blah, 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 you're not making a career on it. And people don't realize that you can be on the independents and get paid. Look at all the guys that are doing this. But we can't break that mindset, because so many of those people are so ignorant to the world that has changed, or they've been conditioned to be told that this is just what it is. And again, the first time I ever posted this, I had somebody try to argue with me about how there was only 26 people in the crowd because the shot is towards the entryway. This is from Fortune Bania at Heavy on Wrestling that they put on at a casino that had money to bring in Sting. Put me in the ring with Sting when I was a champion at the time. And I couldn't argue, and I didn't even bother to try and argue with this guy, because the deal is he was like, oh, you did this all for a hot dog and a handshake. The most original line that you can possibly come up with. The idea that you came to my fan page because somebody shared that image to make that comment on Sting is hilarious to me. And it's even more hilarious that after that particular show, I was able to go home with the money in my pocket, and I paid all my bills, my car payment, my electric bill, all that stuff. I paid all my bills for the month based on that weekend for that show. So that hot dog must have been very expensive. That handshake must have slipped me a lot of money, or maybe I just shook hands with the right tycoons to give me a little bit of a leeway. But that, and also the other thing too, a couple people trying to make comments, and I think they were trying to be funny when, I do appreciate the ones where you're like, look, I see an icon and a legend and I see Sting. You really know how to warm my heart. But like the idea when somebody is, trying to make references and try and, take a shot at me on my own fan page is still the dumbest of asinine things that I can ever see. That it's hilarious that you would come to my fan page to make those comments. But speaking of a couple other comments that I did, again, we've had 2 Snapchats since then, and I made a comment and I asked about what exactly, if I came to the ring with an Austin beer truck, what would I be spraying? Some people nailed it with the Capri Sun comment. Because could you imagine if rather than the hose it was just a giant straw and the car was a pouch that just, as I sprayed it? That'd be awesome. And even if you said ginger ale or Arnold Palmer, you know me pretty well. Those were my drinks of choice. Even in San Diego, I had those all the time, which is great. But those are the big things. The Austin theme, I think, worked out really well. Going on and capitalizing on this one, I mean, obviously, I had more bone to pick a little bit, which, once we hop into the show, I'll talk a little bit more about that. But word to the wise, if you decide to come on my fan page and try and make a joke on me, make sure it's not stupid. Like, make sure it's at least creative. Make sure it's funny. Make sure that, first of all, that you follow me and you do the same. Same with my Twitter, too. If you're trying to make your comments personal vendettas against people, like when I posted stuff about, fun fact, me tripping over a chair helped to get me booked. Sorry to burst the bubble. I guess I didn't specify that it was that they watched a highlight reel and I was a part of it. I didn't realize that you didn't know the connotation on the booking was that was not the only clip, that individual clip, but that was the thing that put it over when we were talking about bookings because they were aware of my talent. But because you wanted to take it and make it on your relation on how you didn't like the specific promoter, you made it sound like this was a chance for you to take a cheap shot, when actually what I was sharing is this funny clip of me tripping over a chair that led to me getting booked in Portland, which led to me getting booked in Vegas, which made to me connections with people who have helped me throughout my career, which got me to GalaxyCon, which has ultimately got me on national TV for the Fox. So I know that you might not see this as a way of the connections, but it's funny that something that started in 2008 with such a simple little prop gag has now, almost 20 years later, impacted me positively. But it's great. Continue to hate on the guy that brought me in and that I didn't really even mention. And that's cool. It's whatever you want to do and your irrelevancy. And on a last side note, like when somebody comes to talk in my defense and you say like, oh, it's only because it's their girlfriend, or you ask if it's their girlfriend and you answer a question with a question and you kind of dismiss it, just remember, like, women have the ability to have their own opinions too. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I know I'm generally the asshole heel, but even I can't deny that one. Let's just get to the show, shall we?
So, Darin, I gotta ask, did you intend... I'm not gonna throw it out there like this. Did you intend to bail on the match you're supposed to have at Emporium, or was it like you said? Was it ever supposed to happen? I saw the promo. It didn't say like you said you're gonna be there.
I gotta be honest. It's not that I was ducking him. It's not that I'm worried about being in the ring with Coda. I mean, let's face it. I've wrestled Coda Hernandez before. I was just having fun messing with him. So I said specifically, it's like law-abiding citizen, where he's like, of course I thought about killing those men. Of course I thought about making them suffer. But he never said. I mean, like, of course somebody would think that. It's all in the fine print. What I said would hold up in a court of law. So the biggest thing is I just took a page out of Gerard Butler. I said I would give him exactly the match that he wanted, a match that I've known that he's wanted. But I couldn't be there to let that happen. The match that he always wants is not the match with Darin Corbin. It's not the match for the Legacy Champion. That's the spot that he's been pushed into. But Coda doesn't want that. He's conditioned to believe that somebody from the Freelance Academy deserves a Legacy Championship to form their own legacy, a way of them to break out. He's not ready. He's been preoccupied with so many other personal issues at Freelance that the idea that he's going to challenge me and beat me, ridiculous. He has a personal problem with me, saying that I duck him, saying that I'm afraid of him, and he's already lost. There's two options here. One, he could have the match with me and he'll lose because he's not on my level. It proves that he never deserved it in the first place. The second is he can keep calling me out. He can keep saying all these things, but eventually he's going to have to prove to himself that he deserves to be here. And he hasn't done that yet. He's talking himself into believing that he deserves to be a champion when it couldn't be farther from the truth. And I've already won. It would be best if he didn't think about going for the Legacy Championship anymore.
So, 2024 has been slow. You've had a nice break. It's not like you're not keeping busy, but does it make you think that you're going to start slowing down soon? You're almost 40, 20 years in. What's your immediate look at the future?
It's actually the opposite. Look, these milestones are coming up really quick. I'm turning 40. I'm going to hit 20 years here on April 11th. That's going to be my 20-year anniversary. I've 1,400 matches. Come on. Like, look. Now, I made the joke on the first Snapchat that I'm not quite at Terry Funk age to be pulling this off. And now I'm actually kind of getting there. The idea that I'm in some of the best shape that I've been in, that I'm having some of my best matches, that I'm doing some of my best programs, and then I'm still actively traveling. I'm participating in other physical activities, not just wrestling. The one thing is I learned that I could walk away from this at any point. I learned that I could walk away and I would be fine. But there's just this part of my brain that is conditioned now to just show everybody that no matter how many times they're going to doubt me, I still got to prove them wrong. Call it a chip on my shoulder, but at least these shoulders are able to hold it. Even with broken collarbones, I've rebuilt myself to be able to hold the weight of everyone's self-doubt and crush it, just like I've done all the time. Every match, every big match I've won. So now when it comes 40 and everyone's like, is this going to be it? Is this going to be the end? What are you going to do? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing it until I give a reason not to, until I find something else that can propel my creative outlet, until I find a reason for pro wrestling to not need Darin Corbin anymore. But it hasn't shown that it does. And I've always managed to find a place in every single promotion that I'm in. I've reinvented myself. I've found a way to keep relevant, which is really hard for most people that couldn't even last, let alone 20 years, but 10 or 15. The ones that stayed in the same place and eventually dwindled down so that they only wrestled in one spot and talked about the one time that they may have went to the next state over and had a fun match with somebody that they never met, and all these road stories, which was actually just them in a car where some catastrophe happened and they thought that that's what made them a road warrior. And it never did. They just won a variation of a championship that was passed down from promoter buddy to promoter buddy to promoter buddy to keep a promotion alive that should have died a long time ago, like their careers. I, on the other hand, still get talked about and still make moments and don't need one promotion to justify me. I have been probably the most, on record, the most nomadic independent wrestler to come out of Minnesota in the past 10 years, past 20 years. Because I have continued to find myself, reinvent myself, come back from injury, and do all these things. I have been forced to do that since day one. I didn't complain about places not booking me. I went and found new spots to make a name, to make my home. And I found new home bases. And when it was time and I outgrew that home, I left. And ultimately, the connections that I made led me to different spots. But I never set roots in one spot. Yeah, I'm a Minnesota boy until I die. But that doesn't mean that I have to be here every single weekend. What it means is I challenge myself still with opportunities. Some people should really take note and figure out what I've done, why I'm so successful. And I think when you look at it at 20 years, maybe we'll ask the same question after 25. Or maybe when the time comes and I'm ready on my own terms, which I will go out on my own terms. No one's going to push me out the door. I've already established the fact that I'm well aware of knowing when to go off into the sunset before anybody else has to tell me until I'm broken down. I'm nowhere near that. Some of the guys who can barely get in the ring, barely up the steps, or if there weren't any ring steps, they could not get in the ring in the first place. So let me just throw it out there. I will make sure that when I go, it's on my terms. But there's still so much for me to do. And I have so many opportunities coming up. So with that said, I will continue to find new places to go and blaze trails. And that is something that 90% of the people never figure out. And that's why they fall by the wayside, because they keep spinning their wheels. I'm not that guy. I'm sorry to tell you. And if you ever want to ask for my advice on how to get there, make sure that you're not okay with just being in your comfort zone. I've broken mine numerous times. So, am I ready to be done after 20 years? No. Am I just getting started? No, that's too cliche. But I'm willing to start numerous journeys all at once. Life's fun. I'm having a blast, and I'm going to keep it going. Well, I hope that sums a lot of stuff up. I really do. I mean, again, it's been 2 weeks, so I want to make sure I covered everything, but I had a lot to talk about, which is good. So I'm glad that we got to focus on that. And I just wanted to clear up any misconceptions, because people have been trying to paint me in a negative light or trying to predict my future. And I'm actually quite excited about my future, so let's just keep that one rolling, okay? With that said, I want to give a big shout out to everyone who's joined my YouTube channel and continues to watch. So thank you so much, and join me again for another episode coming up soon of This is CorbinCenter.